Can you fix the sentence or just make it sound more natural? I would like to go to the store. What would you actually say?
I wouldn't say I would like. I'd say I'm going to go to the store.
Hello, friends. This is
Hi.
Bo from Bo's Slow English. I'm so excited today because I'm going to interview an amazing English teacher. Her name is Erica. She has an Instagram, TikTok, YouTube called Erijon. So I highly recommend that you check her out. Welcome, Erica.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
Erica and I met on Instagram. She actually slid into my DMs. And this is a really funny saying. Erica, do you mind explaining what that means?
Sure, to slide into someone's DMs means that you email them directly. It's a direct message on social media.
So now we're friends, and she happens to be from near where I'm from on the East Coast of the United States. I have some questions for you, Erica, and then we're going to have some fun lessons about common mistakes and natural versus classroom English. Can you tell everyone a little bit about yourself and how you got into teaching English?
Sure. So I actually started by teaching Spanish, and I taught for many years, and then I switched to teach English. I teach English online for my students here on social medias, but then I also teach at a high school. I teach high school immigrant students learning English.
And not to just put you on the spot, but since you are fluent in Spanish, and we do have a lot of Spanish speakers watching, can you introduce yourself in Spanish?
Claro, hola, me llamo Erika. Por favor, sígueme porque me encantaría enseñarles.
You are the real deal. What made you start creating content online?
So I actually started creating content for my students in the classroom, my high school students. And I just put some videos up that I thought would be helpful to them if they were struggling with a specific grammar point, an idiom, just things that might be interesting to them. So I started posting for them and then got serious about it back in October, and here we are. The rest is history.
That leads us to common mistakes. Since you have had so many personal students and you've heard many mistakes, what are some common mistakes that you've heard?
The majority of my students are Spanish speakers, and so they often struggle a lot with the TH sound and pronouncing it. And the TH sound is everywhere, right? 30, the, thorough. It's something they really struggle with. And so sometimes I think they get a little self-conscious because you have to move your mouth in ways it doesn't feel natural. And so I try to make them exaggerate it in class. I said, we can be ridiculous in class together. It's okay. And so I show them, like, we're going to put our tongue here, and then we're going to th. And so we're all making strange noises. And hopefully the more they exaggerate it when they're comfortable, the more easily it will come to them. It will feel natural when they have to use it. I mean, no one's going to run around and say 30, but hopefully the extra practice will just make them feel more at ease when it actually comes time to use it in real life.
That's a great tip and tool. With my personal students who also have a hard time pronouncing the TH sound, I do the same thing. I tell them to exaggerate it because when they think they're exaggerating to us native speakers, it probably sounds natural. And I also say, try to act like you're blowing out a candle with the tongue between your teeth.
Yeah. I'm going to steal that. I like that.
Oh, thank you. And what other common mistakes have you heard of?
Oh, let's see. I just made a video on glasses because in real life, my son broke his glasses. And so I asked my virtual students on Facebook, Instagram, how would I say that? My glasses is broken or my glasses are broken. And I was surprised at what a challenging question that was. I had almost 50-50 people saying the correct answer versus not. And I understand why. Glasses, it is referring to one object, but it's one of those tricky ones like pants, like scissors that we make plural. My pants are too big. The scissors are sharp. But then you throw in a pair of glasses. The pair is broken. And so that's something that I see them struggle with a great deal.
Speaking of glasses, I thought when you mentioned glasses, I thought you would say that it was difficult for some of your students to pronounce the letter S. Have you ever come across that?
The S sound exists in most of the Spanish-speaking countries that I work with, but I have worked with other dialects. So the S can be challenging. What my Spanish speakers typically struggle with is they put an E in front of it. So the word would be special, but in Spanish it's especial, and it's really challenging for them to remember, no, I don't use that extra in front of it. We just say special. It's not especial. Yeah.
That is a good point. Trying to think of what other trick I provide for my students who have a hard time pronouncing the letter S. Well, I'll say, like a snake. And I ask them to really use their belly to blow out the air as much as possible. I was curious about your Spanish accent and your journey with learning Spanish.
Yeah, so I have a special needs brother. And when I was younger, my mother had an au pair from Spain come to live with live in our house. And her name is Nuria. And she was like a cool big sister. I was too old to need a babysitter, but she was just like this cool woman from another country. And I loved that she'd pick up the phone to call home, and I couldn't understand a word. It felt like she was speaking in code, and I wanted to understand or crack that code. And so that changed the course of my life. I decided to study in her country. I went to Spain and studied there many years ago now. And she and I are very, very close. She was in my wedding. I was in her wedding. We traveled back and forth. And so I just have experienced the joy of getting to know other people and cultures. And it's so exciting for me that now I get to teach others how to communicate and how to express themselves and learn about other people and places. And it's just very exciting for me. I love my job. My students often struggle hearing the difference between the I and the E sound. That is on my to-do list to make a video on this pronunciation because it can be really challenging. My students get very uncomfortable when they have to say the word beach because they often say the other word that is, I'm not going to say it because I'm a teacher. My students will watch it, but it is an inappropriate word. And so beach is a very different sound from the I sound. So for them, it's a struggle. And it's something that I make them work on constantly because they don't want to avoid always saying the word beach or accidentally say something that could be offensive to someone.
I noticed that when you say the word O-N, it's just like how I used to say it when I lived on the East Coast.
Yes.
Can we hear you say that word?
Yes, I'm going to turn the lights on. It's on. I live near Philadelphia, and I have what is called a Delco accent. It's Delaware County. And another one we say is, well, maybe you can tell me, what am I saying? I would like a glass of water.
Water. I got rid of that accent just naturally living in Los Angeles since 2009. Water, wash, on, phone, gas, ocean.
Hoagie.
Hoagie, yeah. Well, I think maybe where you live, you probably call the sandwich hoagie, but I probably call it like a sub, and I think that's a big no-no for you.
Yeah. Oh no, we do not call that a sub. It is not a sub.
Now let's move on to natural versus classroom English. And this is really important because personally, from learning French, starting with textbook French and then moving on to more conversational French, I realized that my French is very proper. And I've been told that my spoken French is more correct compared to the natives speaking French, but the goal is to get along with natives. For me, it was.
Yeah, and to communicate, sure.
Yeah, and to be able to have a fun conversation. So if you're very formal and very textbook, you might sound a little bit awkward. So Erica, what are some tips and tricks to help us learn natural English versus classroom English?
I think it's important to seek out true speech. So watching movies is incredibly helpful because you will hear a faster rate of speech and you're going to hear natural speech. It will not be perfect. For example, it would not be, I want to go to the mall with you. It's, I want to go to the mall with you, right? So listening to that kind of speech in movies, listening in songs, but also pushing yourself to speak with native speakers. That is key. That is key.
A question that I get often on my YouTube is, what do I do if I am not friends with anyone who speaks English or they're not native English speakers? I recommend doing shadowing practice where you can watch videos and try to read the caption in the same speed, tone, and clarity as the native speaker. And as you know, I have many videos, free videos available for you to practice shadowing with me.
I used to practice when I was learning Spanish. I didn't have many people to practice with. Nuria, who I spoke about, she only lived with us for 1 year. And so I didn't have many people to practice with. And I would practice in front of the mirror. I would just pretend I was having a conversation with someone, and it gave me confidence when I actually did speak with someone. So it felt a little silly, but it worked for me.
That's a great tip also. I actually posted a shorts about that recently. And another tip I have is spend 10-15 minutes and speak in English when you are doing your daily routine. So when you are going to take a shower, you could say, I'm taking a shower right now, in English. When you're brushing your teeth, say out loud, I'm brushing my teeth right now. So that will just help you to use your vocabulary, because if the vocabulary is just sitting quietly in your head and not being used, you won't remember it. Would you agree?
True, 100%. There is an expression in English, if you don't use it, you lose it. So it's very true for exercise of muscles and for vocabulary. Other tips for learning English is just practicing every chance you get. One of the big things I would say is don't be afraid to make mistakes. Mistakes happen, and my students apologize to me. I'll put a video and say, which is correct? And they'll get it wrong. And they say, oh, I'm so sorry. And for me, I think mistakes are actually kind of beautiful. I think of my sons learning to walk, and I remember being so excited. They're walking their first steps, and then they fall. And I don't want them to apologize. It's part of their journey. It's part of their learning, and they're better because of the mistakes that they made. Obviously, we need to learn from our mistakes. There's a term called fossilization, when you learn a language and you say the wrong thing again and again and again, and it's fossilized. It is stuck in your brain, and it can be difficult to change. So we don't want that to happen. But when we make a mistake, it's okay. It's part of learning, and that means you're going to get better.
I agree. Fossil. That may be a word that some of our viewers have never learned. What is a fossil?
Well, I'm not a science teacher, but it is typically something that is found by archaeologists, people who dig in the earth looking for things from a long, long time ago. So I think of dinosaur bones. That's what immediately comes to my brain. Either a dinosaur bone or the imprint, like the shape of the dinosaur bone.
Fossils are cool.
Yeah.
And speaking of mistakes, just so you know, native English speakers also make mistakes.
Of course, it's maybe we speak too quickly and don't think about what we're saying. In speech, it's a little easier to navigate, but mistakes happen. It's a part of life, and I'm pretty relaxed with mistakes because I know I make the mistake in my second and third language, and that's okay.
What's your third language?
I speak a very little bit of French. Je parle un petit peu de français, mais seulement un petit peu. J'ai étudié là-bas il y a beaucoup de ans.
Oh, your French is good.
No, it's not. That's all I got. I can't say much more.
I'll have to share my vlogs that I like to watch in French,
Yes.
which is my inspiration for creating my channel. So I have a little exercise for you, Erica.
Okay.
Can you fix this sentence or just make it sound more natural?
Okay.
I would like to go to the store. What would you actually say?
I wouldn't say I would like. I'd say I'm going to go to the store.
And when would you say I would like?
If I was at a job interview, I would speak very proper and very formal. I might even speak that way with my students to show them the formal versus informal. But if I was talking to my husband, I'm going to say, I'm going to go to the store.
As some of you know, outside of YouTube and teaching English, I have a full-time job. I work in a luxury medical clinic. And you will never hear me say, do you want water? No. Not in such a formal setting. So I would definitely say, would you like a glass of water? Or may I get you a glass of water? So there is a time and place for using such formalities, but if your goal is just to be able to have a fun conversation with a peer, probably go with what you hear on TV and in movies, which is, I want to go to the store. I want to get a glass of water. If you were to give one last bit of advice, your most important advice, what would it be, Erica?
Don't give up. 100%. Don't give up. There will be times that it feels like English will never happen for you. And in that time, in that moment, it's the most important that you keep trying because it will come. It will. It's impossible that it won't. So just keep trying and don't give up.
Thank you for your encouraging words. And where can we find you?
You can find me on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, or TikTok at English with Erijan. And I'd love to see you there.
Thank you so much for coming on my channel and helping to teach English to my students here. It was lovely having you.
Thank you so much for having me. It was wonderful.
You're welcome. Have a good day.
You
And
too.
bye, everyone.